Hello and welcome to episode 166 of Glitch Report. My name is GnittWitt. Thank you so much for stopping by, saying hi, kicking it with me today on the stream of dreams, the show of shows, and everything in between. You can find everything that I do over at my Linktree. That is linktree.com/GnittWitt. GnittWitt. I am on Twitch. I am on Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram. This podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. I'm all over the place, and that's just the way I like it. Man, oh man, this has been a wild week for gaming. It's one of those weeks where I've mostly just been playing one game. Like, at the end of every episode, I'm always like, here are my hopes and here are my dreams and here's my plans and here are the things that I want to do with gaming for this week and the remainder of this week and the next week and stuff like that. Because we do the shows Wednesday, so I have a little bit. I have basically until the weekend and then all that stuff to get gaming in and come up with topics and shows and watch the news and all that sort of thing. And this week has been basically the show ended last week, and I have done nothing gaming related than play Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I am done the campaign in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I have been messing around with some of the other modes in the game. We're going to cover all of those modes and so much more in just a little bit. But basically, perhaps a warning, whatever you want to call it, this is going to be a very Call of Duty Black Ops 7 heavy episode. First thing we're going to do is we're going to run through what some of the critical consensus on the game has been. I got OpenCritic loaded up, and we're going to run through, what the reviews of the world have had to say about Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And then I'm going to give you my kind of interpretation on the game for as much as I've played so far. And I'm going to say this right now, reviews for this is not a great year for Call of Duty. This is not a great year for Call of Duty for a couple of different reasons, which is, I think, funny because when you look at Call of Duty, you have your campaign, your single player story mode, you have your zombies mode, you have your multiplayer, and then basically what it just comes down to is what is changed within those three main offerings from the year before. Do they have any updates planned to add more zombies content, more multiplayer? Like, what is really the next 365 days going to look like for this game now that we've seen what the bones of it are? And that's not to say that Call of Duty, launches unfinished or broken or lacking in content. I think this year in particular, there is so much game to this Black Ops 7 release that while I recognize a lot of the criticism that has been thrown the way at this game, I also think it's a scenario where unless you are reviewing the individual elements of the game, so last year for Big Red Barrel, I did a review for the campaign. I also did a review for the zombies and multiplayer separate. So it was a scenario where some places are doing, I believe some places are doing like multiplayer zombies and, campaign, all three of them separately. But for the record, what I did last year with Big Red Barrel was I sat down and I said, okay, I'm going to review the campaign separately. I'm going to do the multiplayer separately. And I'm going to combine multiplayer with zombies. And this year, I think I wouldn't do it that way. I think I would just put it all into one campaign, even though I think putting all those eggs into one review basket ends up, I think, taking away from the good parts of this game. I personally just don't have it in me to sit around and be like, you know what? Let's really split the atom left, right, and center. It's funny when I read some of the reviews or sort of some of the comments. For whatever reason, there's just been an uptick in people commenting on that review now, which is like funny. I don't like. I'm not going to sit here and like get passionate about a bunch of comments that are being left on this review, even though this is last year's review. Anyways, the reviews have spoken is what I'm trying to say. If we go over to go over to opencritic.com right now, there are 45 reviews for Call of Duty Black Ops 7 with a top critic average of 69. 49% of critics are recommending the game. Now, this is also a scenario where, and I'm also going to point this out before we get started, there's also the player rating. So there's a third metric that you can use when looking at OpenCritic, which is the player rating, which is user reviews. User reviews for Call of Duty Black Ops 7 are sitting at a 10 out of 100. So 69 from the top critic averages, 10 from the player rating. Take that with a grain of salt, or don't, as we get into some of these reviews. Video Games Chronicles, as always, shout out to Video Games Chronicles, gave Call of Duty Black Ops 7 a 3 out of 5, saying Call of Duty Black Ops 7's multiplayer is some of the finest the series has had to offer. It's just a shame it's tied to a baffling, turgid, ridiculous campaign that makes a great argument for stopping Call of Duty campaigns altogether. 7 games is plenty. The Black Ops series has run its course. I know we're kicking things off kind of spicy. IGN giving it a 6 out of 10, saying Call of Duty Black Ops 7's campaign is a wild one, thanks to the scope of its ambition, but the big swings it takes don't always land, leaving it an uneven step down from last year. Eurogamer 3 out of 5, saying a shift away from the single player leaves Call of Duty with its most lopsided and homogenous entry in decades, though what it does offer is consistently good fun when accepted on its own terms. GameSpot 7 out of 10, saying the latest entry in the Call of Duty series gives players more ways to play the campaign than ever, to various degrees of success. Game Rant 8 out of 10, saying Call of Duty Black Ops 7's robust multiplayer and zombies offering make up for the weakness of its co-op campaign. Push Square 6 out of 10, saying the most ridiculous Call of Duty has ever been. All of Black Ops 7's multiplayer strengths are overshadowed by the silliest campaign in the franchise history. It's still quality online, and the zombies mode is as solid as ever. They don't matter quite as much, though, when a co-op campaign manages to reframe an entire release into one of stupidity. Press Start 5.5 out of 10, saying Black Ops 7 is without question the most disappointed I've been in a Call of Duty campaign. It's not because it's the least fun necessarily, it's because it's a regression in every field that Black Ops excels in. It's a thoughtless, homogeneous mess that feels more like a zombies offshoot that, in an attempt to call back to better games, only serves to cheapen their memory. So let's talk about it. I am kind of a believer that Call of Duty is a game where, assuming you like first-person shooters, like, look, if you hate first-person shooters, there's nothing Call of Duty is going to do to change your mind, right? There's a third-person mode. It looks goofy. It looks weird. The animation is weird. Playing Call of Duty in third person is kind of how I feel to playing stuff like Fallout and the Outer Worlds and Avowed in third person. Those games were designed to be played in first person, and they give you the option if you need to, want to, whatever. I don't think it's going to convince you that it is a third person shooter on the level of a Uncharted, a Gears, a Ghost Recon, whatever. That all being said, I've been a believer for some time now that the way Call of Duty is packaged is that they are truly trying to offer something to everyone, right? That homogenous thing has actually existed for a while now. It just doesn't feel like it, right? If you are a big fan of, big budget, crazy, single player, story-based games, those campaigns are short but sweet, and they nail it more often than not. If you like the idea of getting together with your buddies and going through different co-op modes and playing together, they have modes for that, right? If you are more of a social gamer, whatever, co-op, zombies and all that stuff, they have those modes. If you are a competitor, if you want to play competitive first person shooting and things like that, they have those options for you. And if you're someone who really likes to grind out different achievements and challenges and, things like that, they have so many ways to level up your character and unlock new things that you can grind it out as a live service for the duration of the time that game is getting updates and probably have a decent time. That all falls apart this year. All of what I just said completely falls apart almost entirely because of this co-op campaign. And the funny thing about this co-op campaign is that it even bridges together more elements that other people come to Call of Duty for in an attempt to keep people from bouncing off the game too early or whatever the case may be. So I'll give you some examples. Last year in Call of Duty Black Ops 6, you could earn, your character levels, your weapon prestiges, and all of those different unlocks through both the zombies mode and the multiplayer mode. So basically, there was no reason for you to not get a lot out of that game if you were someone who wanted to rank up the character and get all your different scopes and attachments and things like that. This year, that has been extended to the campaign itself. So I played through the campaign and must have gotten at least 20 or 30 levels just playing through that co-op campaign. It's also repeatable, so if you really wanted to just grind out those co-op campaign levels to earn prestige or unlock all of your weapon attachments or whatever the case may be, you can kind of do that. So they've already they've extended the carrot by having, co-op campaign related, unlocks and things like that. And they've extended the stick by saying, hey, no matter what you do in this Call of Duty game, you're going to be making progress on your character profile. You're going to be leveling up and you'll be able to prestige and do all the things that you would want to do regardless of what mode you play. On paper, that is, I think, fantastic. I love the idea of, being able to unlock, different abilities and perks and weapons through the campaign that I can then take into the multiplayer so that I don't have to sit and grind out multiplayer match after multiplayer match with weapons that I don't care for or perks that I don't care for in order to unlock those later through the multiplayer gameplay. What I ended up doing last year with Black Ops 6 is I spent a lot of time playing through that zombies mode because I knew I could grind it out by myself. I could team up with people if I wanted to, but then I would be able to say, okay, now I have this scope for this AK-47 that I want to use or whatever gun. And now I've unlocked it for multiplayer because it was easier for me to run around and shoot zombies in the head than it was to shoot human players in the head. And now I have the stuff that I want unlocked so I can take it into the multiplayer and play competitively the way I want to. And now you can do that exact thing with the co-op campaign. The problem with the co-op campaign is that if you are somebody who is looking for a traditional single player story mode experience from Call of Duty, this is not only that, but it is perhaps the worst one of these that they have done in a while. However, there are things about this co-op campaign that, as someone who has appreciated the weirdness that Call of Duty has attempted to do over the years, their weird attempts to branch out and break up the formula, change things up. I've admired the way that they have tried to go about, in Infinite Warfare, we're going to add a bunch of dogfighting and we're going to have side quests and you can pick your missions on a table and away you go. Or, some of the recent Black Ops games, you're running around like a house or a base and there's puzzles and like keys and different codes and stuff that you can unlock and find in those environments. Like just breaking up some of what we know of Call of Duty, I think, has helped remove a lot of that sense of homogeny from, a game that is basically the carrot on the stick, of you're going to shoot these guys and get these guns and get these perks and get these attachments, away you go. Like, I appreciate it, right? Say what you will about Modern Warfare 3, the most recent Modern Warfare 3 campaign, a game that literally felt unfinished, a game that was literally slapped together in order to make a full priced product instead of an expansion to Modern Warfare 2. But the idea of taking the campaign and adding elements of Warzone, the battle royale mode to it, is not the worst idea. The problem is that it comes across as half-baked, unfinished, and it alienates a lot of people who are looking for big budget spectacle and scope in their Call of Duty campaigns, which is where we get to with the co-op campaign. First and foremost, this is a co-op campaign that you should really, really play with other people. If you are playing it alone, you are going to have a worse time. I spent damn near 90% of my time playing through this co-op campaign completely by myself, and I had a worse experience for it. I know this because I went back and I played through the first level of that co-op campaign. It's a squad of 4 people, including yourself, that you can take through the co-op campaign. And boy, oh boy, was getting through that first level way faster and way easier with other people shooting the enemies and doing the objectives in the environment in order for us to move on. Yeah, the co-op campaign maybe slows down a little bit if you're waiting for somebody in your group to show up to the thing you need to trigger to activate the next cutscene or whatever. But the way that the campaign is structured, from enemies and how much health and damage they can, how much health they have and how much damage they can take, and the objectives that you are doing in these levels, you should, I'm telling you right now, you might think of yourself as some lone wolf that just wants to play alone and not be bothered by other people. If you are going to play this co-op campaign, you should play it with other people. Now, the way that that co-op campaign works is you can turn off voice chat. You can just have random people show up. You don't have to like invite your friends and stuff. If you want to get through this campaign and you don't care who you play with, you can absolutely hit there's a button on the menu that says squad fill. When you start the campaign, you can just, fill it up with as many, with the people required to get through the level. You don't have to talk to them. They just show up, they're shooting, whatever. Away you go. And then you don't have to talk to them. You can ignore them. It's totally fine. The problem with the co-op campaign is that there are no checkpoints. You need to beat the level. Even if you play it by yourself, you need to complete the level in order for your progress to be saved. If you die, you will be revived either by your teammate who finds you lying there bleeding out on the ground, or if you're playing by yourself, you'll just get revived at some point and you keep going. But you cannot save mid-mission. You cannot pause the game. If you pause the game is still running. So if you're playing with other people, you are probably going to annoy them if you just sit there paused, especially if they're trying to activate the next cutscene or whatever they're trying to do. And if you're playing by yourself, it's not like you can actually pause the game anyway. So it is very, very much a forced co-op campaign experience. You can play it by yourself, but do not do that to yourself. Don't do it. Or don't play the campaign at all. Just don't. There's plenty of and this is where I truly feel like Call of Duty has tried to offer something to everyone over the years, but still, if that sounds unappealing, do not play this campaign, because you are going to have a bad time if you're coming to it from last year's campaign, or even Modern Warfare 3 to an extent doesn't have the force online that this does. Now let's actually, kind of dig a little bit deeper. Black Ops 7, the co-op campaign, is a bad retelling of last year's game. Now you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, but Black Ops 7 takes place in the future, like 2035 or whatever. What the fuck? How can it be retelling the story of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which takes place in the 90s, in 2035? That is a great question, and it is so poorly written and explained that I just feel like maybe they were forced to retell the same story because of the turnaround time they needed to produce both games. I don't know. But I'll basically set up the premise for Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6, you got woods, and you got all these different, your classic Black Ops crew are still kicking around from 6, and in 6 you are chasing after a bioweapon called the Cradle. When the Cradle activates, it will, basically force people into this mind fuck, drug trip, crazy, rage fueled experience. And that's where a lot of the mind control comes in, right? Of like, whoops, we accidentally activated the gas, or we were trapped in this room where the cradle gas was activated, and now we're tripping out, and all of this stuff. Like, that is where they've kind of been able to put a lot of the mind fuck elements that you have traditionally come to expect from Call of Duty Black Ops in these recent Black Ops games, being like, there's a bioweapon, you trip out, and all of this stuff, right? In Black Ops 7, even though it takes place like 30, 40 years after Black Ops 6, the cradle weapon is somehow still kicking around, and you are still trying to grab it. And I'm like, wait, didn't we do this already? Didn't we already have this, this whole chase sequence and all of this stuff? I'm not talking about literally ripping out like levels necessarily from Black Ops 6. I'm talking about just like story beats and elements and that sort of thing. So already I'm just like, man, this is maybe not what I wanted to find out about Call of Duty Black Ops after finishing 6. You play as David Mason, the son of Alex Mason. If you remember, David Mason was the playable character in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which took place in 2025. This is not the furthest Black Ops game in the timeline. The furthest Black Ops game in the timeline is still Call of Duty Black Ops 3, a game that I actually had never finished, but by all accounts is also a very weird campaign. I believe Black Ops 3 also is a co-op campaign, but it doesn't force it on you, and you can still pause and do all that stuff. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, by all accounts, even from what little I played of Black Ops 3, that seems like a better campaign than this, even if it is weird and it has its own mindfuck stuff and whatever. If you are objecting to weird mindfuck stuff, Black Ops is not for you. Like, let's get that out of the way. If you don't like spy stuff, if you don't like the idea that it's all in your head, or maybe it's not in your head, or maybe in this campaign you've been dead the whole time and you're just reliving flashbacks and your dying breath, or whatever the hell happens in Black Ops, this is not for you. But I would also say that if you were trying to find something connecting the previous Black Ops games to this, you're not going to find that either. At least you can say, okay, well, Black Ops 1 took place in like Vietnam, right? Black Ops 2 was a mix of Vietnam, Cold War, and 2025. Black Ops 3 is even further in the future from Black Ops 2. Black Ops 4 didn't have a single player campaign at all. Black Ops Cold War takes place after some of the elements of Black Ops 2, but before some of the elements of Black Ops 2. Black Ops 6 takes, and this is getting confusing, but Black Ops 6 takes place after Cold War, and then Black Ops 7 takes place after the Black Ops 2. Like, there is something of a weird, fucked up through line that you can follow. It's just that by the time you get to 7, none of it matters because they're just retelling stories at this point. It's such a bummer. It's such a shame as someone who absolutely loved Black Ops 6's campaign. Black Ops 6 was so fucking cool, from, just the shit you were doing in the 90s, taking pictures of politicians and stealth missions, the casino heist, the robbing, even the mindfuck, like, am I imagining shit that happens in Black Ops 6 is way better than what happens in Black Ops 7. I told you this is going to be a very heavy Black Ops episode. I don't know what to tell you. So you play as David Mason, and very early on in the game, the first mission, you are exposed to the crazy gas, and you are being exposed to the crazy gas because you're going into this mission under the guise that Raul Menendez, the main protagonist of Black Ops 2, is still alive. So already, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is assuming that you remember stuff that happened like 13, 14 years ago in old Call of Duty Black Ops games, which to me is fine because I love Black Ops. I think about Black Ops a lot, right? I'm just sitting there being like, oh, what do the numbers mean? Is it all in my head? Maybe I'm going crazy. Anyways, the fact that they kind of, are very much like, hey, do you remember Woods? Do you remember Mason? Do you remember the stuff that happens in Black Ops 1 and 2? I think is weird because I thought we were past that. especially like multiple times past that. Even if we go back to Cold War and the 90s and stuff like that, I just thought we were past, a lot of this stuff. Anyways, the point is that the story in Black Ops 7 really assumes that you remember things that happened in both 6 and 1 and 2. And I think is a awkward story on top of how much it just retells the capturing of the Cradle bioweapon and all that stuff. So structurally, you load up the campaign, you can play it by yourself if you really want to, or you can just have the squad fill it in. And when you go through these missions, there are some missions that are, closed off linear experiences, something more like a traditional level in Call of Duty. But even those levels are often filled with kind of busy work objectives and gunfights. There are a couple of times where you have to go run around the area to find the door to open it and unlock it, which is something I feel like in past Call of Duty games would just be opened, or another character would open it for you by the time you reached it. But it's like, oh, go open this door, and then you have to run around and find the fuse that's on the wall that you need to shoot to open the door or whatever. And even in the first mission, there's a part where you're trying to extract this hard drive. Enemies are pouring in from this room that you're in, and it's like, oh, by the way, put these 4 C4 charges on the wall, and once you've done that, then the enemies will stop showing up and you can run out of the room. So it's like, okay, not only do I have to shoot these enemies and not die, but I also need to hold the X button for like 5 seconds or something while enemies are coming in so that I can put the C4 charges. And I was able to do it by myself. I'm not, it's fine. I was able to do it. I'm not bragging, but I did it by myself. But boy, oh boy, when you have like 3 other people running around shooting or doing the objectives for you, even that sort of stuff goes by a lot quicker than doing it by yourself. Raul Menendez is, brought up, especially very early in this game, whether it's a mind fuck or he's really dead or not. I'm not going to spoil. I don't think it matters. I think everything that is presented from pulling from Black Ops 2 it falls pretty flat. The thing about this campaign that I appreciate is how weird it is. Like, the fact that you are making a Black Ops campaign where you are tripping out on the crazy juice and the crazy gas from mission 1 instead of, I don't know, the middle of the game or whatever they tend to do it, is kind of neat. The thing that ends up happening is, with the way it's all in your head for so much of the game, or supposedly all in your head for so much of the game, they really play around with enemy design and things like that. So yes, you are shooting military dudes in the face with military guns and all that stuff. But there's also a lot of moments in the game where you're shooting like zombies and spider creatures, like stuff that literally is pulled from the zombies mode. There are times where there are boss fights in the game, and I mean like traditional boss fights with big health bars, something that is not in other Call of Duty games before. And on its face, I think the idea of messing around with the enemies that you shoot in a Call of Duty game, it's not the worst idea. I'm okay with it. The idea of introducing boss battles, I'm fine with it. It's just that it is so tedious because of the assumption that you're playing with other people that it really bogs down the entire experience. Again, I cannot stress enough, you do not want to do these boss battles with less than a full squad of people. You don't want to do it. I did it and it wasn't fun. The boss battles are often monsters, like there is a literal tentacle monster that is minor spoilers for Black Ops 7. The ghost spirit of Frank Woods is inside of a weird tentacle plant monster that, like, you and Michael Rooker, yes, Michael Rooker is in the game. If you like the idea of hanging out with Michael Rooker, maybe you'll have some enjoyment in this campaign. I think Michael Rooker is great, but I could just watch Guardians of the Galaxy. The point is, you are shooting the ghost of Frank Woods being trapped inside of a weird tentacle monster, and all of that is like a reference to Black Ops 1 and 2, not the tentacle monster part, but the Frank Woods being trapped and what the fuck's going on with Frank Woods. And it's just such a mess. Like, I like that it's weird. The idea of shooting a tentacle monster, I'm not entirely opposed to or shooting ghosts or zombies in a campaign. I'm not opposed to. It's just so flat and stupid and weird and unappealing. I think that's the thing, is like, I'm all for weird. I love the idea of big budget companies spending a lot of money to produce a weird, messy piece of art. Like, I genuinely want to support that, when it appeals to me, right? The problem is that top to bottom, this campaign is just unappealing. So you get past the boss fights, you get past the weird tentacle monsters, you get past the retelling of the, elements of the Black Ops 6 story. You get past the part where it's a forced co-op campaign. What else is there to this campaign? An open world. Multiple times in the Black Ops 7 campaign, you return to this open world called Avalon, which I believe was referenced in Black Ops 6. And you do a bunch of open world, not like traditional open world stuff. It's not like, oh, there's like objectives on the map that you can approach whenever you want. It's just like, it's almost seems like these open world parts are just there to connect you from one main story mission to the other, but like what you're doing in those open worlds is somehow even more bland and co-op campaign generic than what you do in the actual missions. And this is where the Modern Warfare 3 comparison comes in, because there are a lot of elements of Modern Warfare 3's campaign that was just you running around doing tedious open world missions and stuff like that. This at least feels more fully fleshed out and intentional than what they do in the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, but that doesn't necessarily make it better. It doesn't make it good, especially as someone who will probably walk away from this campaign feeling like they missed out on a lot of bombastic moments and set piece and over the top, sections of gameplay from what they've come to expect from a Call of Duty, because it really just feels like going through the motions, and some of the biggest set pieces are going to be in the form of fighting tentacle monsters and other shit that you come across in the campaign. So I can't stress enough, like, I kind of admire how weird it is, and I kind of admire that it somehow manages to take even the most unappealing elements of stuff like the Modern Warfare 3 campaign that literally felt unfinished at times, and somehow try to make that work, but it doesn't. Like, it doesn't work. So you get through the campaign, and at the end, they introduce a new mode, never before seen in Call of Duty before, called Endgame. And it drops you back into the open world of Avalon that you've been mostly running through in the campaign, but this time things are different. Because Avalon is mostly still the same, but it's more populated with objectives and missions than in the campaign. And what Endgame is Endgame is a PvE, so player versus enemies only extraction shooter mode that you can replay as much as you want after the Black Ops 7 campaign is complete. You can go back and play through the missions in Black Ops 7 if you want. Like, you can play the levels and stuff like that. You can select all that stuff, but they unlock a extraction shooter mode called Endgame after you beat the campaign. And one of the things I wanted to mention about the co-op campaign is that the enemies in that co-op campaign, the regular levels featuring enemies, whether they be spider monsters or military men or whatever, they take a lot of damage to kill. Like, there are times in that game where you are given like an assault rifle that somehow has like 90 bullets in a clip, and you will put almost that entire clip into a guy before he goes down. And I'm not talking about boss battles. I'm talking about just like normal, maybe elite level enemies in the game. They have ruined the time to kill and the snappiness and the feel of shooting enemies in Call of Duty games, because now instead of taking an enemy, 3 to 7 shots to kill or whatever, it's like 60, 90 shots to kill. And I wish I was being hyperbolic when I say that, but I'm not. So it's like this weird thing where it's like, weird, why does this assault rifle have 90 bullets in it? Oh, it's because you're going to dump half of them into a guy just to kill him. So when I say play the co-op campaign with other people, that is another reason why, because you do not want to dump clip after clip after clip into a handful of enemies to get through a shootout moment in the campaign or whatever. In this end game mode, I think it makes a little bit more sense because there is a sense of player progression and upgrades. In the co-op campaign, it's just seemingly at random. You will get better quality weapons. You will get upgrades and abilities and stuff like that. You'll just play through a level and be like, now you do 2 times damage. And you're like, what? I don't feel like I'm doing a lot of damage to begin with, but now I'm doing to do 2 times the damage. And then you get to the next level where you can fully apply that 2 times damage and you're not doing that much more damage. It's really weird the way that you just level up your character, not the profile or any of the stuff that comes with multiplayer, but just playing through the campaign, you'll just get 2 times better, damage or 25% more health. And it barely makes a difference in the grand scheme of things. In endgame, it makes a little more sense with the way the progression works because you are taking a character, dropping back into the world of Avalon. You are completing various missions and objectives. And as you do that, you're actually leveling up a character. So I have a character right now. He's like level 25 or whatever. And I've been able to put points into faster reloads or faster sprinting, or every time you kill an enemy, you get faster movement speed temporarily. Or it has the armor plating system that like Warzone has. So it's like, oh, now when you reload your armor, you get 2 additional, you get 2 slots for armor instead of 1 slot, or your health regenerates faster, or your armor regenerates slowly over time when you are, just running around. Like there's these kind of upgrade systems in play that you can really mess around with in this end game mode. And on top of that, you can take the weapons and stuff that you've unlocked attachments for by playing the multiplayer or the campaign or zombies and take that into the end game mode with you. You can't do that in the co-op campaign, but you can do it in the end game mode. So it'll be something like you'll wingsuit dive into the environment. You'll come across a parking garage, and it'll be like, oh, this is a parking garage that's using batteries to charge the guild. The guild being the main bad guy faction in the campaign. It's using that to charge their vehicles. Blow up these batteries, and you'll get like 200 experience or whatever. And you'll run over to one of these batteries. You'll hold X for like 5 seconds. And then a bunch of enemies will swarm into the environment and try to kill you as you're waiting for the timer to tick down. There's usually like 2 or 3 of those batteries that you have to, hit X on for a little bit before they're all exploded, and you complete that mission. You get that objective. But the other thing is that with it being extraction shooter mode, it is on a time limited run. So you go into the world, and you have about 45 minutes before the gas gets too bad and you die or whatever. So you're trying to get in and out over the course of, 25, 35 minutes or so. The other thing is that if you die in this mode, you lose whatever weapons you have found in the environment, and you lose whatever character upgrades you have as well. So I think the max level is like 50 or 60. And I have died with a level 40 character. And that probably took me, maybe 3 hours or so to upgrade over multiple runs, where I would go in, do some mission objectives, extract from the environment, reload back to the main screen, save all of my character stuff, and then go back in and do it again. The other thing about the extraction mode, I'm kind of just describing an extraction shooter at this point, is the weapon that you take into the environment, you will also lose. So for example, if you are trying to collect a bunch of, you can't really collect a bunch of like really good level weapons. You either take something that's already from your loadout, from your regular multiplayer stuff, into this game, or you reuse the weapon that you found that might do better damage, because the guns also upgrade. So you'll start out with like a level 1 gun, and then the next tier is like, oh, the gun is like, the gun name is green because it's a level 2, and then there's blue, and then there's purple, and I think there's probably orange. I haven't seen one yet. And that's on top of all the other upgrades and stuff like that you're getting for the character. But like I said, if you die or you fail to extract, you lose all of that stuff from what I've seen so far. I have not tried taking a worse gun in after successfully extracting and seeing if that gun that I replaced it with is saved, but I'll find out and maybe I'll report back. That is to say that you are running around the same open world from the co-op campaign. You are shooting a lot of the same enemies, both the zombies and the regular enemies, as you were doing throughout the co-op campaign. And it makes a lot more sense to me, both the carrot on the stick approach of like, you got to do these runs and safely extract and not die, and you upgrade, but also just the idea of like, yeah, as you make your way through this massive open world, you are going to find harder enemies that are going to take more damage. So yeah, maybe the idea of putting 90 bullets into an enemy, 2 hours into your run of, or actually it doesn't even take that long. Like, what I'm saying is like the idea that the enemies are going to be harder or take more damage makes a lot more sense in an approach where you're going to be getting better weapons, becoming stronger. And then you could sit there and blast through enemies a lot faster, because the way the open world works in Endgame is it's split into 4 zones: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Level 1, the enemies are a lot weaker than they are in the later levels. But you can sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to take my level 30 character back into tier 1 and complete these missions objectives a lot faster because the enemies are not as strong. If you wanted to, but really you should probably be fighting at around the level that they expect you to. Each area tells you what level you should be when you go into it, but there's nothing technically stopping you from, diving in to the open world, going straight to the big boss, because there is one big boss in the environment, and trying to take them on at level 1. Whether you do it with a squad of friends or not, because like I said, this is PvE only extraction shooter. There are no enemy players running around. If you see a player running around, you can follow them, you can play with them, or you can have a squad fill up with you and dive in with you, just like you did in the co-op campaign, or you can invite your friends or whatever. This is the thing that I actually like. If I were to tell you what I genuinely like about the co-op campaign, it's this weird mode, this very casual extraction shooter mode that unlocks after you beat the co-op campaign, which is a shame because playing through the co-op campaign stinks. It's not particularly fun. Even when you play it with other people, it's not some amazing thing, especially if you are a fan of the classic experience that Call of Duty campaigns have had to offer. But the idea of not only leveling up my guns and stuff and player profile like I would in any other mode of the game, but having this additional meta layer of, okay, now I have a combat ranking of 35, and when I shoot an enemy in the head, I gain a little bit of health back, or whatever weird upgrades and abilities that don't apply in any other portion of the game work. It's kind of cool. It again, like, the worst thing I can say about the Call of Duty Black Ops 7 campaign is that it is a mostly slap in the face of everything you've come to expect from Call of Duty experiences in their storytelling campaigns up until now, even in comparison to the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, where they have seemingly this time around doubled down on a lot of that open world stuff, and on top of that told a very disjointed, messy, weird, stupid story. I kind of appreciate how stupid it is at times. I kind of appreciate how weird it is, but it is not a game that I wholly enjoyed playing through from a campaign perspective. And it's not a game that I'm going to recommend to a lot of people. It's going to be like, do you want to see how weird Call of Duty can get? Then yeah, you can play this game. But if you want like a 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10 experience, you ain't going to find it here. So I've mostly spent my time playing the co-op campaign. I played through that campaign. I beat the game, and then mostly spent some time playing that extraction mode endgame, because that I'm actually enjoying. That also has no story elements to it whatsoever. You're not going to get additional bits of dialogue explaining the ending or any of that stuff. You're just the game, basically the game ends with like, well, I guess there's still stuff happening. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but basically the characters are like, well, there's still stuff happening in Avalon. The guild are still here in Avalon despite everything we've done. I guess we can just go clear them out, and that's their justification for endgame. So that's not great. And I feel like my complicated feelings on it ultimately are going to drag down the rest of what I have to say about Black Ops 7. And I think a lot of people have already said that, like, the campaign is so bad, it's so weird that it kind of ruins a lot of what makes Black Ops 7 good outside of the campaign. Which I don't think is fair, but I get it. And I'm kind of wrestling with it myself. The zombies mode, there is more zombies in it than ever before. There's like additional like survival only, like just wave based. Like you're just going to stand there and see how many waves you can survive. And it's not as objective based as previous zombie modes. There's a Dead Ops arcade, which is like a top down arcade shooter. There's a lot of zombie stuff. And I got to be honest, I've not been as excited to play through more zombie stuff as I maybe have last year. I got to be honest, I am not a huge zombies guy, but I did enjoy my time with zombies last year, especially because it allowed me to upgrade, the stuff that I would use in the competitive multiplayer. This time around, I don't feel that desire because there's other gameplay modes that allow me to do that without being unprepared for the multiplayer. So, c'est la vie, but it seems what I've played from zombies, it seems fine. There's more of it, and therefore probably better than last year, assuming you really like zombies. The competitive multiplayer, I did not care for the competitive multiplayer during the beta period. To me, it just felt more of the same. But the more I play of it, and I have not played a lot, but what little I've played, I feel like it is clicking for me, maybe slightly less than last year's campaign, but it is still a decent time. Like, of the 3 modes, you're probably going to have more fun with zombie, assuming you're just down for whatever Call of Duty has to offer. You're probably going to have more fun with the zombies and the competitive multiplayer than you are the co-op campaign. That being said, they should probably just make the end game extraction shooter mode available to everybody without playing the co-op campaign, because it's not like it's some huge reward for like, oh, thank God, now I can just run around the same world. Like it's fine. It's fun. I've enjoyed it, but this isn't some like huge reward for that makes playing through the co-op campaign worth it. But that being said, with the multiplayer, competitive multiplayer, I've played a little bit of it. I actually do need to play more of it because that's like the thing that I'm the most interested in that I haven't seen a lot of. One thing I'll say is that they have taken out or de-emphasized a lot of the skill-based matchmaking in this year's Call of Duty, despite putting out multiple reports saying that skill-based matchmaking keeps the majority of players happy longer and playing the game longer. They have de-emphasized skill-based matchmaking in this year's Call of Duty. The way it works is that there's this concept called open playlists, and they're the first things that you can select from the menu when you launch the competitive campaign. And basically you can, I want to do team deathmatch or regular deathmatch or, capture the flag or domination or headquarters or whatever. And the way it works is that basically it's more about connectivity to other players than it is your skills as a competitor against skills of other competitors. And what I have found in my brief time now playing the full version of the game is I'm not saying I perform better. I have gotten better results against other people with the skill-based matchmaking de-emphasized. It's almost like I am playing against potentially worse people and therefore killing a lot more people in this multiplayer experience than in last year's multiplayer experience, where I was closer to that 50-50 win-loss, ratio sort of thing. I need to put probably like at least 2 or 3 more hours into it to actually confirm if that is making a difference or not. For those that do want the skill-based matchmaking experience, there are a lot less modes and options available, but they do still offer a standard playlist with the matchmaking and the skill-based matchmaking emphasized the same way it is in other Call of Duty games in the past. But they really seem to be funneling you towards the non-skill-based matchmaking experience. We'll see if that works out in the end, if more players stick around with it because they feel like they're doing better. But I've also run into scenarios in matches where There is a bad motherfucker on one team who is just whooping a lot of our asses, and it doesn't necessarily feel like a fair fight because of one single player on a team. So I don't know. I would say that in general, I'm a fan of skill-based matchmaking because I would rather everybody have a better experience at the expense of maybe my own or a team member who's better than me or an opponent who's better than me. I would rather an even a level playing field, but I know a lot of people hate that because a lot of people think of themselves as content creators or streamers or whatever, and they just want to post clips of people getting absolutely destroyed in Call of Duty by their own hand in an attempt to make themselves look like a cooler, more interesting content creator than they actually are. I know that sounds harsh. It sounds like, GnittWitt, you're just bitter about other content creators, but like, I am not trying to stunt on people. I'm not trying to flex. I am not trying to prove I'm the best around. And if I were the best around, I would want to prove that on even level footing instead of just having a bunch of inexperienced Call of Duty people who maybe haven't touched a game in like 10 years get absolutely destroyed by me. It's actually not that impressive. It's just kind of pathetic and sad. If you are one of those people, you're a bad person. Anyways, that's where I'm kind of at with Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is that it is a game that is actually not that bad, but it is significantly ruined and made worse by how bad that co-op campaign is. I played it on Game Pass. If I had spent real money on this game, probably wouldn't be super stoked about what I played, but for the low price of being included in the cost of Game Pass, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. But I would say a couple of things. One, if you haven't played Black Ops 6's campaign, you should play Black Ops 6's campaign. You should maybe play the Black Ops 3 campaign if you haven't done that. I would actually do that if they put that out on Game Pass because that's the one I haven't played, and I'm very interested to see what the further future stuff is like and how weird that is. But anyways, play other Call of Duty campaigns if you haven't done so already, because pick anyone, with the exception maybe of Modern Warfare 3. Pick any Call of Duty campaign that you've not played yet and just play that instead. If you are a single player, story-based gamer, whatever, don't touch this. Just don't. It's not, I'm telling you, man, it's not worth it. And unless you're going to be open to the idea of playing other multiplayer modes or playing other, modes of the game by yourself, if you're really a lone wolf like that, don't touch Black Ops 7. Don't do it. Stay away. It's not worth your time. It really isn't. I have found some fun, but I've been also approaching it from the perspective of like, I wonder just how much shit is in this year's Call of Duty game. And it turns out it's a lot of shit, but there is some cool stuff in it as well, but doesn't make it something that I would ultimately recommend to someone coming to it just for the single player experience. Play Black Ops 3. Play Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare. Play Cold War if you haven't. There are there's World War II, there's Vanguard, there's Modern Warfare, the reboot of Modern Warfare, there's the Modern Warfare 2, which is part of the reboot. I think they put out, if I go to play, what I'm just going to do? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to PlayStation. I'm going to go to the PlayStation Store. And I'm going to type in Call of Duty. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to rattle off a bunch of games that you're better off playing than this. Okay. If you are specifically somebody who wants a single player story, here are the Call of Duty games you should actually play. You should play Black Ops 6. You should play Modern Warfare 2. I haven't played it, but World War II is probably better than Black Ops 7. I don't think Ghost is not an amazing game. Probably still a better single player, campaign than Black Ops 7. 4 does not have Call of Duty. Black Ops 4 does not have a campaign, so don't touch it. Black Ops 3, again, it's weird, but probably still better than this. Cold War, if that is your, if you can't get enough Black Ops, you should probably play Cold War. What the hell else is there? There's got to be other games, and I'm just Modern War. Like I said, Modern Warfare. You should play Modern Warfare. That reboot of Modern Warfare is good. It's really good. Infinite Warfare is a really good campaign. One of my favorites in recent memory, if I'm being honest. There's Vanguard. Like I said, Vanguard is a World War II game, so World War II, old guns, kind of boring to shoot, but yeah, don't play this. Don't do it. Advanced Warfare. Did I say Advanced Warfare? Play Advanced Warfare if you haven't already. That is also a good game, but avoid Black Ops 7 if you're looking for a single player campaign, and get it on Game Pass if you are really that curious. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we got news. Stick around. We will be right back. Okay, we're back. And I forgot to mention a bunch of stuff about Call of Duty, and I apologize. They have changed some of the movement stuff in this game. There is now a wall jump. It's not a boost jump like it is in Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3. It's not wall running like it is in Infinite Warfare or Black Ops 3. But basically, it's like a double jump that can be done when you are facing a flat wall. And it's okay, but it's also like a fairly conservative change to make in a world where Call of Duty has had much crazier sense of movement and speed than in other games. You still have your tactical sprint, though they remove it by default in multiplayer. It's now a perk. You still have your mounting and your leaning and your mantling and all of that stuff. But that was the other thing I think I forgot to mention is there is a wall jump in Black Ops 7 this year. They've also added a bunch of abilities for movement. There's now like a super high jump, like a tall jump that you can use in both the campaign and the end game mode. There's a grappling hook that you can use and basically grapple to a point in the environment, then activate your wingsuit and keep flying. And there's a bunch of like weird abilities and stuff that you can use as equipment replacements in stuff like the campaign and the end game mode. I forgot to mention that stuff. That stuff doesn't change how I feel about the game. Now, if you really want to know how I feel about games, let's talk about the Game Awards. The Game Awards have announced their nominations for this year. We're going to run through the nominees. Going to tell you right now that I am not going to be talking about every nomination. So if you want to know about best esports team, best esports game, best esports athlete, or content creator of the year, find someone who cares, because it ain't going to be me. Let's talk about the nominees for these categories. I'm going to run through every category, man. I did it. I'm pretty sure I did it last year. Fuck it. We'll do it again. And then what we'll do, just to really drag out this segment, is, no, I'm joking, is I'm going to tell you what I want. I'm not going to tell you what I predict. Okay, this is what I would pick. If I was given the award, this is what I would pick. Here we go. Most anticipated game. This is, hypest unreleased video game. We have 007 First Light, Grand Theft Auto 6, Marvel's Wolverine, Resident Evil Requiem, and The Witcher 4. If I was giving an award for my personal most anticipated game, I would give it to 007 First Light. I love the idea of making a more action-heavy Hitman game with the lessons that have been learned over the years from IO Interactive. Overall, I would say most anticipated game for me personally is going to go to 007 First Light. Best adaptation. This is like film or TV adaptation. We have a Minecraft movie, Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry was the animated show that was out on Netflix. The Last of Us Season 2 by HBO. Splinter Cell Death Watch, which is also an animated show on Netflix. And Until Dawn, the movie. Come on. That movie's terrible. What are we doing? There couldn't have been one other adaptation they could have slotted in here that wasn't fucking Until Dawn. Oh my God. Boy, I haven't actually seen, the only thing I've seen on this list is Until Dawn, and that's terrible. I thought this was best adaptation, not worst. So there's this cynical part of me when it comes to the Game Awards. I've actually grown more cynical of the Game Awards over the years, but c'est la vie. And my cynicism is that, like, I think part of the, I know that like journalists and media press and, you know, professional people not only vote to nominate, but vote to win and award these. But sometimes it's like, if you're a game journalist who's reviewing a lot of games, how much time are you actually going to spend watching the fucking Minecraft movie or Devil May Cry or Splinter Cell, right? I'm not saying that people don't watch these shows and don't care about them, that also professionally write and cover video games, but point is, I'm going to give it to, I haven't seen any of these, so fuck it. A Minecraft movie, just so they can have Jack Black show up on stage and Jack Black can be funny. Best multiplayer, we have Arc Raiders, Battlefield 6, Elden Ring, Night Rain, Peak, and Split Fiction. I would say Arc Raiders, even though I don't care that much about that game, it didn't do much for me when I played the open beta. It still seems like far and away the most popular, you know, multiplayer game that has been out this year. So I would just say give it to that. Best sports / racing, we have EA Sports FC 26, F1 2025, Mario Kart World Rematch, and Sonic Racing Crossworlds. I would give it to Sonic Racing Crossworlds, even though I played like 10 minutes of that game. Best sim / strategy game. This is a weird one because these are very, very different games that all get bunched together, but oh well. We have The Alters, Final Fantasy Tactics, The Ivalice Chronicles, Jurassic World Evolution 3, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, Tempest Rising, and 2 Point Museum. I would absolutely give the award to Best Sim / Strategy Game to Final Fantasy Tactics. That is a fabulous game. Best Family Game, we have Donkey Kong Bonanza, Lego Party, Lego Voyagers, Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing Crossworlds, and Split Fiction. As much as I think the whole family can get into playing Donkey Kong Bonanza, when I think family, I also think like a lighthearted multiplayer game. And from all that I've seen, Lego Party seems to be it for this year. So I would probably give it to Lego Party. Best fighting game, we have 2XKO, we have Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and Virtua Fighter 5 Revo World Stage. If you were to ask me, GnittWitt, which one of these games do you want to play? It's probably Virtua Fighter 5, and I haven't actually played any of these games. So sure, Virtua Fighter 5 Revo World Stage, that would be what I would pick for best fighting game. And like I said, Lego Party, definitely the best family game for what I've seen. Best RPG, we have Avowed, we have Claire Obscure Expedition 33, we have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, The Outer Worlds 2, and Monster Hunter Wilds. Again, like this is, I'm not super in love with any of the games on this list. So I almost want to pick the game that seems the coolest that I have not actually played, which is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So there you go. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, best RPG. That's GnittWitt's pick. Best action adventure game, we have Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Hollow Knight, and Split Fiction. The only one of these games that I've played through to completion is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Hollow Knight did nothing for me, so if I picked a best action adventure game, it would be Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Best action game, we have Battlefield 6, Doom the Dark Ages, Hades 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Shinobi Art of Vengeance. The only one of these games that I've spent significant time with is Hades 2, so by default, I would give it to Hades 2. Best debut indie game, we have Blueprints, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Despelote, and Dispatch. Megabonk was nominated, but the developer said that they've actually put out other indie games before, so therefore it doesn't count as a debut indie game. And I would still give it to Dispatch. You know, when you tell me that the ex Telltale people have come back in another studio to make a new game, it's probably going to be Dispatch. Best independent game, we have Absalom, Ball Pit, Blueprints, Expedition 33, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight. And of these games, I would absolutely give it to Ball Pit. Ball Pit is a great game, even with some caveats. I think Ball Pit is a fabulous game. Best community support, we have Baldur's Gate 3. We have Final Fantasy, sorry, 1 second here. This list is cut off. We have Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky. If I know anything about these games, is that people love the community support in No Man's Sky, and I think they would probably go to No Man's Sky. Best ongoing game, we have Final Fantasy 14, we have Fortnite, Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, and No Man's Sky. I would give it to Helldivers 2. People also seem very happy with that game. Innovation and accessibility, we have Assassin's Creed Shadows, Atomfall, Doom the Dark Ages, EA Sports FC 26, and South of Midnight. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the accessibility options in either of these games, but I will give it to... I know people actually had weird accessibility issues with Assassin's Creed Shadows, so I don't know how that ended up on this list, because I'm aware of people thinking there's a lot of fucked up parts of that game, but from an accessibility standpoint, I don't know what any... It's just a shot in the dark. Atomfall. Way to go, Atomfall. You did it. Best performance, we have Ben Starr from Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Charlie Cox from Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Erika Ishii from Ghost of Yote, Jennifer English from Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Kanatsu Kato from Silent Hill F, and Troy Baker from Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle features a fabulous Troy Baker performance doing his best Harrison Ford impression, and it works really well, and I would absolutely give it to Troy Baker. Best audio design, Battlefield 6, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yote, and Silent Hill F. If you have ever heard a Battlefield game before, you know that it has some fucking crazy audio design to it. You are really in the shit when it comes to the warfare in that game, and I would give best audio design to Battlefield 6. Best score and music, Leveled Up by Spotify. Yes, that is the name of the category. We have Christopher Larkin's score and music for Hollow Knight Silksong, Darren Korb for Hades 2, Loren Testard for Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Toma Otawa for Ghost of Yote, and Woodkid and Ludwig Fossil for Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. Even I know that everyone loves the music from Claire Obscure Expedition 33, and I actually thought the music was actually one of the better parts of the game from what I've played, so I'd give it to Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Best art direction, we have Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yote, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong. If there's one thing I know about the Ghost of games is that they're pretty to look at, and I would give best art direction to Ghost of Yote. Again, I haven't played it. I'm pulling stuff out of my ass. But what are you gonna do? Best narrative, we have Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yote, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and Silent Hill F. I did not care for the narrative in Claire Obscure Expedition 33, man. Those characters did nothing for me. I bounced off the game once you got to chapter 2 or act 2 or whatever. It just, nothing about it stuck with me. So it's definitely not going to be that if I'm picking. But I also haven't played any of these other games. My understanding that Ghost of Yote is a pretty simple revenge story. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach probably has the most narrative and story in any of these games, so I would give it to Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. Best game direction, we have Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yote, Hades 2, and Split Fiction. I would give best game direction to Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Game of the year. We have Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. When I think of the games on this list that I have played a little bit of or all the way through, it's Hollow Knight Silksong, it's Hades 2, and it's Donkey Kong Bonanza. And of the games that I have enjoyed playing the most, the game that I sit down and play, it is far and away Donkey Kong Bonanza from this list. I'm not saying Donkey Kong Bonanza ends up being my game of the year. Things could change at any moment. But as of right now, my gut feeling would give the game of the year to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Congrats to all the nominations. Congrats to all the future winners. And congratulations to Spotify for finding a way to put their shitty brand on the Game Awards. Here's the thing. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe I'm just cynical. But there is something about this year in gaming that just a lot of games did not connect for me. Right? I'm not quite done Hades 2. I bounced off Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I bounced off Doom the Dark Ages. I bounced off Hollow Knight Silksong. And even the games that I like Ball Pit or like Hades 2 and some of these other games, I like with a lot of caveats. So I feel like my game of the year might end up being the game I like the most with the least amount of caveats. I feel like no game that I've played this year I would give a 5 out of 5 to, which is like kind of crazy, but here we are. And maybe it's just me. And people can say, oh, GnittWitt, you're just a troll, you're just cynical, you're just whatever, you're toxic, whatever. But I just haven't loved a lot of games this year. Like, not to the same degree as last year, right? So I don't know. Like, this leaves me a lot, like, to be honest, like, I'm also a lot less interested in the Game Awards this year. I think maybe because of how I feel about a lot of the games, but there's announcements, there's going to be performances and all sorts of other shit that you can, check on throughout the Game Awards. That is going to be happening on what date? December 11th. So that's Thursday, December 11th. You'll be able to watch that on Twitch and YouTube and all sorts of other places if you want to. And that is going to do it for the Game Awards talk. I will probably have some sort of Game of the Year thing, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. And I wanted to mention, if we forgot, that Mega Bonk was nominated for Best Debut Indie Game. It was withdrawn because the developer claimed that it is not actually their debut game. Let's move on to some other news. Red Dead Redemption 1 is officially coming to Switch 2, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S, as well as mobile next month. Netflix subscribers will also be able to download the mobile version of the game as part of their subscription. According to Rockstar, it will also include the Undead Nightmare expansion, as well as content which was included in the Game of the Year edition. It's going to be coming out December 2nd. According to Rockstar, the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S versions will support resolutions up to 4K with 60 frames per second gameplay, enhanced image quality, and HDR support. The Switch 2 will also run at 60 frames per second with support for DLSS and HDR. It will also feature optional mouse controls. People who already own the PS4 and Nintendo Switch version or the digital backwards compatible version on Xbox One will be able to upgrade to the corresponding current gen ports for free. Players who own the PS4 version will also be able to load their saves on PS5 to continue where they left off. Switch owners will be able to do the same on Switch 2. I guess, people are like, well, what about Red Dead Redemption 2? When are they going to do a PS5 version of Red Dead Redemption 2? They will probably do it at some point, but remember that Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel to 1. So I'm wondering if They really want people to play through Red Dead Redemption 1 before 2. I don't know. But hey, it's exciting, and I would love to see that game with its updates and improvements make its way to PC eventually. I don't know if the PC version, let me type in Red Dead. What does the PC version currently support? I'm curious. So in fairness, the PC version does support 4K HDR and 144 hertz. So, you know, they did clean that stuff up, but the game is also $70 on PC, man. So maybe I'll add that to my wish list and wait for that to go on sale. I never did play the Undead Nightmares expansion, which is like, what if it was a Halloween episode that took place in the old timey zombie West? Let's move on to some other news, man. Let's keep going. Xbox has announced a partner preview showcase for later this week. That is going to be happening on the 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. According to Xbox, the presentation will include news on upcoming games from partners including IO Interactive, Tencent, and THQ Nordic, plus some brand new reveals and Game Pass announcements. During the Xbox partner preview, we'll show you an exciting first look at content coming to 007 First Light, an electrifying extended gameplay trailer for the upcoming dark fantasy Tides of Annihilation, and a fresh look at Reanimal, the new horror adventure game from the creator of Little Nightmares, among other great games heading to Xbox consoles, Xbox on PC, and Xbox Game Pass. Additionally, all games featured during Xbox Partner are Xbox Play Anywhere, which means you can enjoy every single one of them across console, PC, and supported gaming handhelds with just one copy of the game. The only upcoming Xbox Game Studio title with a known release date is the PS5 version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, which is set to release on December 8th. Other first-party games currently scheduled to release in 2026, which don't have specific dates yet, are Forza Horizon 6, Gears of War E-Day, Halo Campaign Involved, and Fable. But as a reminder, given the focus on third-party games, it is unlikely that we will see a lot of these games in its presentation. This is a surprise release. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition Shadow drops on Nintendo for $20. That is the reboot of Tomb Raider. That is a great game. Tomb Raider, that's such a fucking good, man, those games are so good. Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider is a great game. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is a pretty good game as well. Play the Tomb Raider games. This is just my reminder to play through that reboot of the Tomb Raider games because those are awesome games. This is a little bit of a surprise news story. EA Sports says there will not be an F1 2026 game. However, F1 2025 will be getting a paid season 2026 expansion instead. An all-new and reimagined F1 game will release in 2027. These are quick news stories. This one's not. Ubisoft has postponed its earnings call and halts trading with little explanation. Ubisoft has halted trading and postponed its earnings results, which could potentially indicate that a significant announcement is on the way. The Assassin's Creed publisher was due to publish its second quarter results on Thursday, but instead, just 15 minutes earlier, issued a statement announcing their postponement and altering the market that trading in its shares will be halted. It's possible the move is related to an announcement on acquisitions, but it could also be due to some kind of accounting issue, said Nico Partners analyst Daniel Ahmed. In an internal email sent to staff and verified by Video Games Chronicles, Ubisoft CFO Frederick Duguet did not provide an explanation for the halt in trading beyond avoiding unnecessary speculation and market volatility during the delay. Quote, "Hello everyone, I wanted to let you know that we're taking extra time to finalize the closing of the semester, and as a result, we will publish our first half earnings results in the coming days instead of tonight. Quote, due to legal regulations, we cannot share more information with you at this time. To limit unnecessary speculation and market volatility during this short delay, we have asked Euronext to suspend the trading of our stock until the results are announced. We know this will likely raise questions and drive media coverage I encourage you to listen to the conference call, which will be available via the investor section of our site just after the results are released so that you have a more detailed view of our earnings. Weird, man. This is the latest in an eventful period for Ubisoft, which last month opened a new subsidiary part owned by Tencent, Vantage Studios, which will now see its biggest franchises, including Assassin's Creed. Tencent holds a 25% stake in the new subsidiary and will act in an advisory role with final creative and business decisions resting with co-CEOs Christophe Durenz and Charlie Guillemot. Ubisoft has told staff it's shifting towards a less centralized operating model in an attempt to give creative teams more ownership over the brands they're working on. The new structure is based on the idea of creative houses, where teams will have greater control over their franchise and will be able to respond faster to player expectations. I don't really know what any of that means. Like, how much faster these Assassin's Creed games take like thousands of people and take like 3 to 4 years to make, and they come out almost every year, not every year, but almost every year. How fast do they really want to respond to fans? How fast can they respond to fans? And how quickly can they innovate on these games? I feel like that's just a lot of marketing speak for a company that is just trying to justify its flailing creative decisions. I don't know. That's what I think anyways. Pokemon Legends ZA, as the kids call it, is the best-selling physical game of the year so far in the US, according to Circana's Matt Piscatella. During the popularity of the game, Piscatella explained that Pokemon continues to be a leading IP across a number of categories tracked by Circana. Pokemon, the biggest media property around right now, is leading in our toys tracking. The trading cards are one of the biggest drivers of the entire industry right now. The Pokemon cards, which the Pokemon cards are massive. I remember a quick story. My dad was at a Costco. My dad likes Costco. My dad goes to Costco maybe once a month. And he likes to go early. He likes to get in and get out, right? Like he's robbing the joint. He's not actually, but he likes to get there early. And he was there one day and he saw a massive group of people, and they're all younger people. And he was just like, what the hell's going on at this Costco? He couldn't believe it. And he gets there and he finds out that most of the people in line early before the Costco even opened were there for Pokemon cards. And I think if even my non-Pokemon playing dad knows that the Pokemon cards are so massive that people are lining up outside Costco, it is safe to say that the Pokemon cards are one of the biggest thing in the toy industry right now. Piscatella adds, it's broken all containment from the video game world in terms of franchise strength. It's the best-selling physical game of the year so far already, and it's only been in the market a few weeks, and it's going to be one of the biggest drivers of the holiday quarter. Piscatella's information may not come as a huge surprise, given the last month he revealed that Pokemon Legends ZA had enjoyed the best US retail launch week in 2.5 years, but that's according to Circana's data. The game's total sales in the US in the first week of release were the highest in terms of both number of physical units sold and dollar sales since The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was released in May of 2023. It should be noted that Circana's data on Nintendo games only covers physical sales, since Nintendo does not provide digital sales data to the company. As such, therefore, possible that a different game is the best-selling game of the US so far in both physical and digital. But if the Pokemon Legends ZA game is that popular physical, there's a very good chance that it is also popular digital as well. Final news story. Horizon Steel Frontiers is an MMORPG from NCSoft. It has been announced for PC and mobile. A PlayStation version has yet to be confirmed. This is not the same game that is currently in development at Guerrilla. Guerrilla is working on a separate, I believe, multiplayer Horizon game. This is a separate MMORPG. It is being developed in collaboration with Guerrilla, but it is mostly being done by NCSoft. Stating, set in the lands of the machine hunters known as the Deadlands, the game builds on Horizon's signature hunting action gameplay while introducing advanced MMORPG systems featuring deeply customizable combat and extensive player freedom. No release date was provided for the upcoming MMO, and there is currently no suggestion of a PlayStation version of the game, marking the first time the Horizon franchise will miss debuting on its home platform. Since the franchise began in 2017, Guerrilla has released Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Frozen Wilds, which was an expansion to Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, and Horizon Call of the Mountains, which was the VR game, as well as Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, which was the expansion to the Forbidden West, as well as Lego Horizon Adventures. And again, there is also supposed to be a separate Horizon game that is a online co-op project being helmed by Guerrilla, but we don't know much about that beyond that. I think the story in Horizon Forbidden West just kind of falls off a cliff, and I'm left less interested in the world of Horizon and the story of Horizon by the time I was done that game. Gameplay wise, it's the best that game has ever played. Some awesome quality of life improvements, awesome gameplay, gorgeous looking game, fun monsters to fight, robots, all that stuff. Really enjoyed playing it. But the story in the world just fell completely flat for me by the time I was done it. I don't know if that ends up making a difference when it comes to what they plan on doing with it, both in terms of the co-op campaign and if they ever do a proper single player story game again. But this is not really what I wanted out of more Horizon games. But to be honest, by the time I was done that second game, I wasn't too sure what I wanted at all. Final news story. Really quick. Assuming this IGN article loads. Let's try it again. That doesn't want to load. That's super weird. What's going on? Let's take it from the top. Nope, doesn't want to load. Let's see if I can type it in manually into the internet. All right, this is from IGN. Twisted Metal Season 3 is getting a green light at Peacock as the PlayStation Series showrunner departs. Twisted Metal has Season 3 has already been given the green light at Peacock, but will return without its original showrunner. An update for the future of the PlayStation's Twisted Metal TV adaptation is coming from Variety, which says more episodes for the Anthony Mackie starring series are on the way. A shakeup, however, means co-creator and showrunner Michael Jonathan Smith won't be attached going forward. It's unclear why Smith is departing the video game to live-action show project. David Reed, known for his work as a writer for The Boys, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and The Magicians, will board as showrunner and an executive producer under an overall deal with Sony Pictures Television for Series 3 instead. A Season 3 renewal for Twisted Metal arrives after the Season 2 premiere in July. As the show continues to bring in viewers, NBC Universal states that the 12-episode run has reached 993 million minutes viewed so far. I've never seen the show. I should watch it. I just like supporting Samoa Joe. Like, I played more of that fucking Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game than I cared to play because I just like Samoa Joe. Him as King Shark was a lot of fun. And him as the Sweet Tooth Killer Clown could also be fun, but I've never seen the show. We're gonna take a final break. When we talk back, when we take a final break, when we come back, there is one other game that I have been playing. I'll tell you more about it right after this. All right, welcome back. There was one other game that I did get a chance to play this week. A little game called Fortnite, because I had curiosity get the best of me and I decided to load up Fortnite and see what it's like to have the Simpsons in Fortnite. And here's what I will say. The Simpsons in Fortnite is actually pretty fucking cool because it isn't just the Simpsons. It's not just Homer and sexy Ned Flanders and, you know, all that stuff. They've also recreated the town of Springfield in its entirety, from what I can tell, in the Fortnite Battle Royale mode. So you can do things like go to the Quickie Mart. When I was playing a little bit of it, I decided to visit the Simpsons house. And when you go to the Simpsons house, you can literally sit on the couch. And not only can you sit on the couch, you can sit on the couch in all 4 positions as if you were recreating the intro to the show if you wanted to do that. I also had the moment, I had the opportunity to go to Moe's Tavern. When you go to Moe's Tavern, there is a phone. And when you activate the phone, you can hear Bart having a full-on conversation prank call with Moe. That's really awesome. I think there's some other characters floating around in the world. I haven't seen a ton of them. It's mostly just been the combatants and the people that you fight in the Battle Royale mode. But boy, between the Simpsons and Star Wars and stuff like that, the Fortnite is really good, is getting really good about getting old people like me to play the game. Like you told me, oh, they put Doja Cat, or if they put whoever, like no offense to Doja Cat or anyone else, but like, like I want to see old people shit. Like put Weird Al in Fortnite, put David Lynch in Fortnite, they should have a whole Fargo battle pass in, put Tommy Lee Jones and all these other people in Fortnite. Like, no, but, to be honest, like I don't have a lot to say other than I think the Simpsons stuff is pretty fucking awesome. I don't know if I'm going to be playing a ton of Fortnite. There's other shit that I need to be playing at the moment. And, looking at, probably writing a written review for, Black Ops 7 when all is said and done. So there's other things I need to do right now, but I did get a chance to play a little bit of the Simpsons in Fortnite, and from what I played, it is pretty freaking cool. In terms of what I have kind of next for me to be playing at the moment, I got to be honest, something came across my way. A friend of mine told me that they're really interested in Where the Winds Meet, the free-to-play wuxia ancient China-based action multiplayer game, online game. It looks really cool, but it just kind of passed me by. So I'm tempted to download that, mess around with that. It seems like kind of a free to play Chinese equivalent of, Ghost of Tsushima or something like that. So I might mess around with that. I've been keeping my eyes on any updates for Sacred Remaster. They put out a patch not that long ago on the 15th saying they're going to fix some more stuff, and we'll see how that goes. And like I said, there are more elements of Black Ops 7 that I need to see and mess around with. I just haven't had a chance to do all that I want to do in Black Ops 7 yet. In terms of what I'm going to be playing and stuff like that, there's a chance that next week it's going to be more Fortnite and more Black Ops. It remains to be seen, but listen, Game of the Year, man, is getting close. If I'm going to come up with a list of some kind of games I'm really passionate about, I got to get that done sooner rather than later and really start thinking about that, wrapping up some games as well. Still plan on doing a stream where I try to beat Hades 2. We'll see when that happens, but it won't be right immediately. But I'll let you know on social media and stuff like that when that happens. Overall, man, Black Ops 7, what a fucking weird, mostly not good game, but still kind of cool in its own ways. But what are you going to do? That's going to do it for the podcast. I have been GnittWitt. You can find everything that I do over at my Linktree. That is linktree.com/GnittWitt. GnittWitt, Twitch, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff in one convenient location. That is going to do it for Glitch Report. We will see you all next week. Take it easy.